6:51, now 6:52. I'm Michael Cohen, 1320 WILS. A new study looking at baby boomers and calling them e-baby boomers, as in eBay, because so many of them, 1 in 5, are now selling their clothes, jewelry, and electronics online to boost their income. To talk about how this could be happening and what you can do if you're in this position, we're joined by Ivan Sachs, the financial strategist at KingsleyAdvisors.com. Ivan, always a pleasure talking with you. How are you tonight?
You as well. Good, thank you, Michael. Yes, this is a whole new world where eBay is starting to make a tremendous amount of leeway in terms of accessing things that were sentimentally valuable to people. And now people are looking for any kind of way that they can get cash. And cash is hidden in those items that they themselves would never, or their parents would never have parted with before.
So as a financial strategist, do you have clients who are baby boomers who are now under this kind of stress? And how do you talk to them about their situation?
Well, what really happens, if you ask me if I have clients like that, I don't necessarily have the clients coming to me to actually come and sell those items, but I do know that there's a lot of people out there that just cannot make ends meet. And what happens then is that they use access to their credit cards, and then credit cards get full, and this is the next level of debt that they go into, even though it's not debt. It's debt taking away those assets that were before available for cash. It's just a new level where people, unfortunately, are not making enough money to make ends meet. And so they have to try and find cash somewhere, and it's not in credit cards. And it's not in savings, so they have to go to that last final resort.
Selling their stuff, that might not be a bad idea on the whole, but the study also found that it was interesting that staying financially afloat is now the biggest concern baby boomers have about retirement, and that's ahead of being fit and healthy and even losing a spouse. What do you think of that?
It really is. It really is a frightening thing where people just don't feel the security as before. For some reason, there used to be like a magic formula that people would always say, pay yourself first or learn to live with less. But the marketing availability, unfortunately, that we take and we tempt it into so many other things, Mike, that we spontaneously taking money out of our pockets that we should probably be saving and spending it on the iTunes, the iMacs, and, everything that's out there that's so spontaneously available to us on the internet.
Right.
It's another, almost like another thing that's taking money out of our pockets.
So as a financial strategist, do you find yourself focusing on your own retirement and finances as like kind of a number one issue?
It is the number one issue, Mike. And all I think maybe before when I was on the program as well, I suggest, please just take out a Roth IRA. Take out an IRA and just start saving. It's not, you don't have access to that money, and that helps you. But ultimately, when you do retire, you'll have some money.
Have you always been a saver yourself, or?
Mike, I haven't. I haven't always been a saver myself. When I first came to the country, it was a matter of also survival. And then what one does have to do is I just decided that I have to pay myself first. So I always take whatever amount of money I make. I take 10% of whatever I make, and that's the only amount of money that I'm allowed to live on. The rest is sacred money. That 10% is sacred money. I can't spend it anywhere.
10% of any given month you put it into an IRA, or do you invest it? Or
I put it into an IRA. You put it into an IRA, and if it exceeds that amount, then you just put it into savings. But one has to have some kind of discipline, one force formula that one can stick to, and 10% is a very good formula to do it with.
30% of baby boomers said that their plan on that what they thought the issue was the rising costs of living, that was actually having a bigger impact than what the amount they had saved. How are they dealing with that, considering that they may have even saved, and now with the cost of living going up, it's not going to be enough?
Well, Mike, this is a weird part because, if you look at the inflation index, the consumer price index, they're telling us that if inflation is only 1.7%. And you and I know that when we go to the supermarkets or we go anywhere else, there's no way that prices aren't rising, that they're only rising 1.7%. Prices are rising a lot quicker, and unfortunately, that's where our Social Security money is only rising up by the level of 1.7%, and a lot of businesses are guided by the Consumer Price Index. But that's not a fact. The inflation rate is certainly a lot more higher and probably north of 5%.
What's
three times higher than what's been reported.
The inflation rate is 3 times higher, you say?
I'm saying it's 3 times higher than what's being reported. Yes.
Right.
If you send your wife, you send your spouse, you send anyone into the supermarket, and you ask them what they're paying for their goods that they were paying for a year ago or 2 years ago, and you'll find that there's no way that they're saying that $1 has only gone to $1.02. They'll say it's more likely gone to $1.05, $1.06.
So, I mean, how is it the official inflation rate is so much lower than what you're saying it really is?
You know, Mike, the Social Security is one of our highest expenses that the government has, and it's tied to the inflation rate. The inflation rate, if the inflation rate is 5 or 6%, they're going to have to lay out more money and go into further debt, and that's why it's one of those numbers that is critical for the government to show as being very, very low, because otherwise there's going to be a huge tag attached to it. As it is, we're suffering a lot from the student loans. Mm-hmm. We've got to try and keep our costs down, and one of the ways of keeping our costs down is not to pay a higher Social Security, and the way we can do that is by showing that our inflation rate is not that high.
Okay, IRAs. The 401k is another way people are hoping to be able to retire. When we see those we see those take a hit though sometimes, especially when the market downturns. What should people have in mind when they're dealing with their 401ks?
When you're doing your 401k, take the maximum amount that the company will allow you, and if they match you, that's wonderful. And don't worry about it. If you're worried about the market, just keep your money in money market savings, if that's what you want to do, and just get the benefit of your company contributing that amount of money. If you want to really be conservative and out of the market, just put your money into a money market index fund, and you won't have any risk of principal.
I know you're from South Africa. Are you following this Blade Runner trial down there?
You know, I've just come back from South Africa. I came back from South Africa on Friday. Mm-hmm. And so I did hear on the radio and on the television over there, obviously it's a very big case, and I am somewhat familiar with it.
Right. I'm guessing it's probably the biggest story in the country in years, isn't it? This runner?
It's a big story because I mean, there's not too many people running around with blades. And he's a Blade Runner, and certainly it's caught a lot of attention. And
is it like the O.J. Simpson trial, would you say, for us?
I would say so. I would definitely say so. It's definitely got national and international. I would say that's one of South Africa's, I would say so, South Africa's Simpson case.
Yeah, everyone's staring at it. This is the runner who does not have the bottoms of his legs, shot his girlfriend, apparently, thought she was an intruder. Ivan, it's been a pleasure. I know you're in New York. I hope you weren't anywhere near that explosion that occurred today. No,
I wasn't. Fortunately not, Mike. I'm just trying to stay stay out of danger. I'm just going to go and have a good dinner somewhere. And go and enjoy it now.
That sounds good. And keep investing in an IRA. Ivan Sachs, financial strategist, KingsleyAdvisors.com. Ivan, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike. All the best. Bye-bye.